Hello, Scotland and Catalonia. I'm David Raventós in my 14th day of a hunger strike to demand the declaration of independence in Catalonia and Scotland. In this video, I want to talk about the censorship we're suffering here. After appearing in a program of radio with hundreds of thousands of listeners, for 2 weeks I've received no attention in the media, which is peculiar because in this country, every minor thing reaches the media, and then somebody goes on a hunger strike for 2 weeks, and that doesn't happen. That cannot be. We know for certain how things go here. Telephones have been ringing to make sure that nobody talks about this. And not only that, that has to do with important things here, like parties being broken, like spies like Joan Vives being widely known by everybody, but nobody talking about him, by all kind of things, important things for the last 25 years here that nobody has told us about. But this is combined with all kind of dirty tricks where our Facebook accounts and our communications are heavily messed with. When my partner does a long post and my name is on it, Facebook wouldn't take it and would erase it automatically, and that's all kind of disturbances. We heard recording machines when the people in my team are talking to one another. We start hearing like somebody has touched the wrong button. They've been slandering, saying that that I've been in and out of a psychiatric institution. So-called independentists have been calling me a madman in private messages, and some others keep talking about irrelevant things like nothing happened. All this is because, as we said before, we are part of a master plan. The NATO won't allow that Catalonia or Scotland would become independent, but they had pretend to land it because we are lucky enough to live in a part of the world where there's a pretense of democracy. In Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Vietnam, and in Africa, people get bombed out and they get massacred. In South America, the New World Order imposes its objectives by having coup d'etat and changing presidents and altering democracy. But we're lucky enough to live in Europe, and here the same objectives have to be reached, but it has to be done like with different means. They already did that in Australia in 1975 when they took out of the way Go Whitlam with a very weird shenanigan, like calling him in and using some minor regulation to do with the governor of the Queen and all kind of weird things. And it was people from his own party that kind of betrayed him, because the word of the game is infiltration. They do it by infiltrating everything we love, like our media, our parties, our organizations. Everything we love is infiltrated by the powers that be. And when there's a risky situation, like in Scotland or Catalonia in 2014 or something, they make them race to the top, and then they make mistakes, or like a rigged referendum that there's no security measures while they were looking away, or they have a majority in Holyrood and they don't declare independence, and then they have no majority anymore because they sponsored a 1 and 2 SNP that has made it easier to lose independence majority. And they all make mistakes. And sadly to say, there's no mistake. We are just innocent people that want to be independent, but we're in the hands of people that have been preparing to avoid independence for centuries, because the state remains, and they keep passing the file of Scottish and Catalan independence from one government to another, because these are things that cannot happen. They know maybe you are independentist for 5 years. But the UK knew that you, maybe not you, but somebody like you would become independent before you knew. Because they study these things and they see trends and they know the cases that will bring to independence. So they've been preparing for it. So sentences like, oh, we have a cunning plan, we've never been so close, we'll do better next time. All these things, these are not true. There's 2 ways to get independence for Scotland. To unveil the Scottish referendum rigging and get it by default, to bring out and to get people like Stephen Noon, that was the head strategist but were working for the enemy, or declaring independence unilaterally. And if you don't do any of these things, nothing about cunning plans. The ones that have cunning plans are our enemies, and they're successful. We should forget Catalans and Scots. Sometimes we think we're better. We're so much better than the UK and Spain. Then if we're so much better, why it's them who's ruling us for 300 years and not vice versa? It's time to start opening our eyes and our brains, think critically, accept hard facts, and then we'll win. Guanyarem.